Good morning, Rabbi Isai. It's great to be back. It's like a month. What's your name?
Ezra.
Ezra?
Sharfman.
From? Oh, you're the one in the picture?
Yeah.
Dave's brother.
Oh, you're Dave's brother? Very nice. Okay, Geschmack. Dave. Geschmack. What do you do? I saw you were in between meetings, it said?
Yeah. I'm a mortgage broker.
Mortgage broker. Geschmack. Okay, hayoim. 12 yoim. Shem shavua echad v'chamisha yomim. Boimer, loimer. First time I could say it like properly. Shalom Aleichem, what's your name?
Ruvain Phillips.
From England?
No, from Eretz Yisrael now. I've adjusted. I've become Eretz Yisrael.
Okay, gewaldig. But where did you live before?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. We don't want to mention that. Wow, living in Los Angeles.
LA.
You know the guy? Wow. Manishra Benny. So good to be back. Yesterday I had to do one of the quietest Good Morning Rabbi Isai's. I'm going to show you a middle shear. Whatever, I can show you now also. Nah, show middle shear. I was in the airport and I didn't have a room. Well, Bedafka, I did it in the airport, but I don't want to like stare everybody, like, good morning. And as is, they're like coming around checking out what's going on. Shloime Eliach is learning Torah by the Kinneret. What else do we have here? Dear Belly, I just want to give a piece of chizuk. It's a 15-year-old kid. I was doing that today during breakfast in school in the Rosh Hashiva of Hashmonaim basement. It says base. Rabbi Yeshua Hartman, the famous Rabbi Yeshua Hartman, who wrote the Maral base. Oh, base, Hashmonaim base. Came over and asked who's giving the Daf Yomi share. I said it was Eli Stefansky. He replied that he played basketball. We did every single Friday morning at the Blind Center. For years I played with him. Geschmack. And then all of a sudden he picked up and went to England and he's there till this day. I then thought how much chizuk this can give. So this was what, 30 years ago, mamish 30 years ago, maybe even more. If anyone would have walked past and saw two people playing basketball and thought that these two people would grow up, this is a 15-year-old writing, one to write over 40 svarim in the Maral and the other to give shiri day to a lot of people. Everyone should try, aspire for these heights. Thank you for all you do in your amazing shurim. Josh Margulis, 15. Since Makkos Daf Beis. I joined Fishel's amazing PS. I joined Fishel's amazing program for Makkos and thought that everyone should do it, so I put up an enlarged version. You want to see what an enlarged version of the sign looks like? Let me show you. He mamish enlarged the version. Gewaldik. Heard many boys say that they signed up, Baruch Hashem. Here's a picture of me standing next to it. My son David is on track with the daf since the beginning of Makkos. He's turning 10 tomorrow, which was yesterday. Chav of Nissim. Would you please consider giving a happy birthday shout out and bracha to continue in his learning? Thank you so much. The picture was taken at 1:40 a.m. after Achron Shel Pesach, after our Mimuna event with the students on campus. He's in Montreal. Gewaldik. What's Mimuna? I'm supposed to know what that is? Avada. Okay, now I know. I'm sorry. Rabbi Isai, Mamish Amaritz. This is what I love. This is what I love about the shir. The same guy screams out, Yomi, and then he calls me Amaritz. So good to be back. I love it. Masechta sponsored by anonymous Hatzlacha B'Ruchnius is Yisroel Cherns in honor of my chavrisa Shmueli Unger, Szlafrok Family in memory of their uncle Simmy Schaer, Simcha Yisrael, Naftali Tzvi A, Shalom Anonymous. May our learning be as close to one another and to Hashem. Monthly sponsors: Yoni Klestzick, Hatzlacha B'Parnasa, Yoni Klestzick, Refuah Shelamah, Yehudit, Brayna, Szpora, Rivka, Parnas Birevach for Baruch, Nissim, Shoshana, Leah, Jeff's Gourmet, Los Angeles. Co-sponsored month. Thank you to Rebelli's wife and kids for the great sacrifice they make, allowing him to spread Torah to the masses. Daily sponsors, Rabbi, so we have a few over here. A few as in many. Zech Nishmas, my father, Yitzchak David ben Tzvi Yehuda, learned the daf for 17 years. This is his 4th yahrzeit. Mordechai is passing Zech Nishmas, Rav Victor Miller, Rav Victor ben Yisroel Cherns, Zech Tzak the Bruchnius, Shoshana having Leah, maybe the entire Mishpachol, his Talmidim, everyone being behind Torah Victor, Glenn and Stacy Black, and all of Kleisfeld. Mazel Tov to our son, David ben Sion, on your bar mitzvah. It's all about the Yomi, say Glenn and Stacy Black. Chaim Doman, in honor of the Rabbi Jeremy Fine and my fellow Halb 7th graders completing Makkos with MDY. We're finishing? It's coming up this week. Mazel Tov, wow, 7th graders. Anonymous, in honor of my 40th birthday, Hashem should continue to bless my family and enable us to support Torah, amen. Yaakov Schreiber for his chus to pass my licensing test. Happening now. Thank you, Hashem, in advance. Amen. Alex and Shirley Gilden, in honor of the bar mitzvah Shabbos of our son Yitzi. Yimir Hashem will be in RBS in 3 weeks. See you soon. What's in 3 weeks? What day is that? I might not be here. No, I might not be here. I'm serious. If it's May 18th, I might not be here. Kamiansky family, Lili Nishmas, our grandfather, Yaakov Lukowitz. That's how they pronounce the name. Yeah, I know. The one who donated Torah Shalom and then the mirror and on his yahrzeit. Oh, 3 weeks like whatever. Elchanan Hanasabazada. Wow, 12 letters. HANASABZADEH. Lili Nishmat Yosef ben Shalom. Anonymous, today's learning should be a schus for Refuah Shelamah for Basia Bas Ayala Esther. Shirley Bernstein, Lili Nishmas, Shraga ben Shmuel Avraham. Innovations LC, in honor of my Rebbitzin, who always encouraged our family to keep on learning with rebellion no matter what. Happy birthday, Admeh V'Esrim Shana B'Yachad Amen. MDY Kids Monthly Innovations. Schus official Chanan, Akiva, Rivki, Mrs. Stefansky, Art of the Month, Refuah Shelamah of Yonatan Edom Sheva, in honor of Yossi Klein and Makkos Ashkenazi for all the work they do. Rabbi Sai, here we are. Daf Tazayin Amud Beis, like 10 lines from the bottom. It's a special daf for me because I gave the shir yesterday in a very, very interesting place. When I get to the Mishnah, remind me, I'll show you where. Very, very chashuv. It was a little emotional. So says the Gemara. Ochal tevel u'maiser rishon. We're talking about different people. Look at the top of the Amud. It says, Elu hein aloikin. These are the people that get Malkus. Somebody that eats tevel. Tevel is food that you didn't take the trumas and maisers. So, trumas and maisers, we're not going to go through the charts only because Jonathan Stefansky is here. Gives me a hard time every time. If you have fruit, you have to take truma. The Torah says it could be anything. It could be 1 kernel of grain. We give about 2% to the kohen. Then we have to give 10% to the Levi. That's called Meiser Rishon. The Levi has to give 10% of that to a Kohen. Then, on years 1, 2, 4, 5, we have to give 10% to ourselves. To Meiser Sheni, it's called. Meiser Rishon is to the Levi, Meiser Sheni is to yourself, you have to bring it to Yerushalayim. In years 3 and 6, you have to give 10% not to yourself, you have to give it to Anani. If you don't give the Trumas and Meisers and you eat it, you're eating tevel. And if you eat tevel, you chayiv misa. B'dei Shammai. So Gemara wants to know, what about the Meiser Ani? Years 3 and 6, you're not really giving it to anybody special. You're giving it to the poor people. It could be Yisrael also. It doesn't have Kedusha. Even Meiser Sheni, the 10% that you give to yourself, it has Kedusha. In all the charts, it turns purple, and then you redeem it, and the money becomes purple. You can't eat it outside of Yerushalayim. It's a special food. It's special food. Meiser that you give to the Levi also has a Zar could eat it, but within the Meiser itself, the 10% you give the Levi, he has to give 10% to the Kohen. So there's a big problem with that also. There's Truman there. What about the Meiser Ani? If you're not mafresh Meiser Ani, you don't take a little bit of 10% and give it to the poor person, and you eat the food without giving it, are you over on tevel? Rav, ochal tevel shemaiser ani loike. Says Rav, yes, you get malchus. Kiman kaitana. So we're going to see it's machloikas. By the way, Stamazoi, Nisanel told me I should tell the Oilam, so I'm telling the Oilam. We got home about close to 2 o'clock in the morning. So until we went to sleep, you can understand, it was after 3 o'clock. And I had to get up before 5 to prepare a little bit, like I always do. So he wanted the Oilam to know, but I'm actually not tired. Because I don't know where I am exactly, but was there a shear here every single day? Yes. My shear was, did you have to take over at all? Yes. Not even once? Wow. So that's the first. Hebrew shear did at least twice, yeah. Okay, I'm back. Come on, for a few weeks. Ki haitana. The Sanya Rabbi Yosi. You would think, if before we did today's daf, you think that tevel means that you didn't take anything at all. You didn't take any of the trumas meisers there. What if you took the 2%, but you didn't take the 10% for the Levi? Or what if you took meiser rishon, you gave the 10% to the Levi, you didn't take 10%, an additional 10% for yourself, and bring it to Yerushalayim, meiser ani, and even that same 10%, but in years 3 and 6. Here, let's just show this. Why not? We got it. Show it. When you have 90 fruit left out of the 100, because you took 10 and you gave to Levi, you took 2, so you really, it's 89, whatever you have over there. Now you take 10% and you give it to the poor person. Okay? How do you know you're over on Tevel? It says the word b'shorecha over here. And by the poor person, by the audience, it says the poor person should eat that 10% and he'll be satiated. The first pasuk where it says you shouldn't be able to eat in your gateways. You're not allowed to eat. There's an isser to eat the food without separating the meiser ani. Amar Rav Yosef Ketanoi. It's actually machlokes Tanoim. Rav Lezer Omer ein tzorich likros es Hashem al meiser ani shel demai. So there's something special about meiser ani that you don't really have to be mafresh it. You could just say that this amount, 10%, is on the Sat Safain, the northern part, or the southern part, and then it's not tevel anymore. According to this, we're going to see, do you have to say it or not? But if you say, Ein tzarich likros es Hashem ha'meiser ani shel d'mai. Rebbe Lezer says you don't have to name it, you don't have to designate it, designate it. That was the problem. Giving shiur in my own, even in Hebrew especially, like, how do you say that word in Hebrew? I know the word, I just couldn't get it out, and I could see the guys in the Yisroel jumping, right? He's saying yes. So, and I just go back there without knowing the word. Simplest words. No, but this is a good one. Like, designate. You don't have to designate. Hashem, you designated, but you don't have to physically take 10%, separate it, and put it aside. Just koires Hashem. By designating it, that's enough. My love, said, that's our machlokes. No, the Mar Sovar, it's interesting, Mar is the Lashon Yachid, he, but it's talking about the Chachamim, the Rabbim. They hold Vadei Tovloi, that if you don't separate the Meiser Ani, even though it's just for a poor person, it remains Tevel. Issa Deraisa. Well, Mar Sovar Vadei Eine Tovloi. Realize also no. The reason why you don't have to name it and designate it is because it doesn't cause a big issue here. It's only Meiser Ani. Great question. So what's the whole thing is, did I even mention it? No. We're talking about Demai. Demai means do mai. What is it? What is this? In other words, Rashi, if everyone wants to see the last Rashi in the Amud, it says Yochanan Kohen Gadol realized that the Amaritzim, they weren't so careful when it came to Meisers. Truma, they didn't have a problem with, because it's so easy to do. It's just one kernel or 1% and 2%, big deal. Okay, but the Meiser, the 10% really hurt them and bothered them, and they were They were relaxed when it came to that. Now, when you purchase fruit from an Amoritz, you have a fruit guy here in Eretz Yisrael. It could be a true Amoritz, if not worse. Could you rely on him that he was mafresh trumas and maisros? He says yes. No. So that becomes a suffix, and because of the suffix, you have to separate your own trumas and maisros from the Amoritz. So, as Abaya, why are we talking about a guy purchasing fruit from a Amoritz? Just say, I have a question, halacha question. What happens if you don't separate truma meiser ani? Are you over on tevel or not? It's just a simple question, nothing to do with the Amoritz. Why are you throwing in a case of purchasing from an Amoritz? No. Everybody holds that not separating meiser ani is very problematic. It's going to create a situation of tevel. Chiv misa b'dei shamayim. So what's the machlokes? We're not concerned when you purchase from Amoritz. Why? Because it's very simple to designate Meiser Ani. You don't have to really give 10%. Meiser is a problem. Meiser you should separate. But what about the Meiser Ani? That I can rely on the Amoritz that he separated 10%. Why? Because he just has to designate in his head. And what happens later? Then he's going to steal it. Stealing is not such a problem. Chiyuv of Tevel, he's makbid on. He's very from. He separates Trumas and Maisros. Truma and Meiser Ani he'll separate because they're both easy. To steal from the poor person, he starts coming up with all sorts of excuses. Like, who says he's poor? Maybe it's him, maybe it's somebody else. It's Meiser Chaver right? What? No, Meiser Rishon has Truma in it. What? So what? Well, you should separate? No, but you can't separate. Who says you can separate Meiser Rishon? No. The designation of Meiser Ani, like we're saying, Likroisi b'shem.
That's only because it's a suffix.
No, it's going to get involved in your thing. I don't know. It's yeah, exactly. What? No. Meiser Ani is 10%.
I'm saying that
no, he's talking about the Meiser, the 10% Meiser that you give to the Levi. Okay. No, they talk about the Meiser. The Meiser is like I said because you have to be mafresh the truma within the Meiser. That he doesn't want to be over on. He does, not that he wasn't worried. It's not going to help him. He will be over on that. He's not going to help. What? He's not. I know he's not makbid. He's not makbid on it. But I'm saying that's the problem. What? Correct. Truma he does, and Meiser Ani he'll do, because it's just he's asking why Meiser doesn't help the Afrushim Afrish. I don't think there's such a thing, but okay. Rabbanan Sarvik even the Trichale Milsale Mafresh and Rabbanan, that's the argument there. Rabbanan say no, that extra minute that it takes to start designating he doesn't want to do. How much do you have to eat from the tevel in order to be over? So we saw in the Mishnah, Reb Shimon says it's just a mashu. I saw Maisa, you can throw one over here. The Arachim is a great organization here in Israel. They do a lot of they have great speakers and they do these Shabbosim, seminars on Shabbos. So they came to ask Reb Chaim Greineman in Bnei Brak. They asked him, we have a big problem. We have a lot of people that take advantage of the system. We give a very, very inexpensive Shabbos, and people come and they don't even come to the classes. They don't come to the speeches. Should we do something about it? Should we charge more? That whole thing. So he told him this idea that if you have a guy that comes from a kibbutz and he spends the whole Shabbos and eats kosher the whole Shabbos, even if he doesn't come to one hartzah, it was worth it. Huh? Even one shear. Omer Rav Bibi, Omer Reb Shimon ben Lakish. Machlokes bechita. Reb Shimon says no, that even a mashu, even if you eat a tiny amount of tevel, you're over. That he was only talking about when you have a full piece of wheat, a whole kernel of wheat. Machlokes bechita. Ava bekemach diriyakol kezayis. But when it comes to ground wheat, which is flour, and it's then he doesn't say mashal. You can't take one piece of the flour and say, oh, I'm over in tevel. Then you need a full share of kazayis. Rabbi Yirmi Omar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. Rabbi Yirmi says no. K'machloikis bezu kach machloikis bezu. Even in flour, Rabbi Shimon would hold a mashal. Tanan, it says in our Mishnah, Rabbi Shimon niyat hamoidim li ba'ochel nemala kol shu shu chayav. Don't you agree with me that if you eat an ant, even a very small ant, you chayav? While I'm looking for the picture, public service announcement. There's a great product here in Yisroel. They sell it, I guess, around the world. But whoever has ants, they sell a tube, a gel, and you go like this. You just put it in the corner. I'm saying this has nothing to do with the Gemara, but it's a service announcement because those ants, they get onto your counter, into your food. Maybe it's kedai to talk about because it can be over deraises. How many deraises? 5 lavim, right? You take this gel, you put it wherever you see them, you put it there, and all of a sudden you see hundreds of ants around it, and they don't die. They bring it back to the nest, and they kill it. It mamish works in one try, wipes out nest. Okay, so here's the namala that we're talking about. I love this new. Yeah, you get. Please buy it through our website. We get a little cut. That's one namala. This is the guy eating a namala. He looks like Yoshi a little bit, no? Like Yoshi after Pesach in a hotel program. And then you have this. This was the 9 namalim that were smushed and the one live one. I mean, those guys are not supposed to be live. This is givaldik. Okay. So 1 namala, you're chayav on 5 lavim. That's different. Yeah, we agree. That's because it's in its full form. It's a whole bria. Whole bria yichayev. So there's an interesting Yerushalmi. I didn't have a chance to look it up, but there's a Yerushalmi that says la halacha. He says if you eat a bria, any bria, you chayev a bracha achroina. So if you eat 1 pitzuach, 1 garin and whatever, you have to make a bracha achroina. You eat 1 grape that's less than a kazayis, according to him, because it's a full bria, you chayev on a bracha achroina. According to Yerushalmi, I don't know what the Shulchan Aruch says. What? You have to eat the peel also. There's always a machlokes. No, so what do you say? What do we paskin? You shouldn't. What?
Before you eat it, cut it in half.
I don't know if that helps. No. They speak about it. 100. I know they speak about it. I don't know if it helps. They say that. Some say yes. Some say no. There's machlokes in that also, so you don't gain anything. I don't understand. What's the difference of a whole intact nimala ant or a whole intact kernel? It's also bria. It seems like he admits that if it's flour not, he says, oh, a kernel of wheat. Don't you agree with me? In a kernel of wheat, they chayev for that. But he doesn't say, oh, don't you admit on flour not? That's too much. That's too small. By the way, there's also interesting chazanish that says that you're not chayev on an ant, 5 lavim, unless you swallow it whole. But if you chew it up in your mouth, you're not chayev on the 5 lavim. So if anybody wants to be over, you got to make sure that it tickles you in the throat, because if you do a little, emes. I don't know if some people are not so familiar with this. I said this, I don't remember what year. I'll say it again because I don't remember if I said it. I know I said it in one of the shurim. I think I only said it in Hebrew. Basically, a guy in Lincolnwood where I used to live, I have a house there now. We were in the park in Shabbos, my wife and I, and he came over to us. He says, I tried out for scare factor. The fear factor. It's like, what'd you do to try out? He goes, I said yes. He says, I ate a whole, what? You watched the shir yesterday, Yosef?
I was here every day.
Givaldik. He ate like a whole cup, like a whole jar full of worms for the shir. Like, dude, it's the rice. Like, I'm talking to the wall, whatever.
He arranged to see him also.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's the? So on, there's food here every day.
Yes.
Came out every day, and there was a siyum on Sanhedrin.
He did it.
Yosef, Yishkoyach, Kol Kavod. Did your sons also finish? Did Zalman Tzvi finish? Any of them? Or? They did, for real? Kol hakavod, Mazel tov. With Reim Carmelo, says the Gemara, no. Rabbi Yirmi is going to hold that even when it comes to flour, if you eat a little bit, you're over on tevel. So why did it? Rabbi Yirmi explained, Rabbi Yirmi Omer Rabbi Shimon Lakish. With the Reim Carmelo, lididi afilu kemachnami. I'm saying Rabbi Yirmi and Rabbi Shimon. Lididi afilu kemachnami. I obviously hold a kol shoe. Anything, even in flour. But you, who argue with me, don't you admit that since a kernel, let's go, so not flour, but what about a kernel of grain? Don't you think that you should be chayav on tevel? It's like, isn't that, what's the difference between that and that? If it's alive and well, it kicks, it's good, that's a bria. That is not considered a bria. And we have a right to Rabbi Yirmiyah, Rabbi Shimon Omer here in Rabbi Shimon. You see, Shamshi in Rabbi Yirmiyah, Rabbi Shimon. Kol shula Makkos. If you eat any type of tevel, even a small amount of flour, you get malchus. And when do you have to bring a carbon if you eat a larger share of a kazayis? Says the Elegant Mishnah. So this is where I want to show you. Rabbi Yisrael, here it is. I thought it was pretty. For me, it was emotional. Even when I was saying this, I was emotional. Check this out.
Rabbi Yisrael, I'm here in Germany, in the airport, the Frankfurt airport, doing a stopover, and I'm in the middle of giving a share in Hebrew. But I thought it would be important to tell the Ilam, here we are, on Yom HaShoah. 6 million were killed because of these people. And here I am, learning Torah, in the middle of an airport, not in a private room, planes and rain behind me. We'll never forget the G'dayshim, and we'll never stop learning Torah. They'll never be able to stop us. Here we are, Birevach, learning Torah, giving over shiurim, Birevach. Yom Shah, because Baruch, what a kiss from Hashem. And I'm here in Frankfurt on Yom HaShoah.
Nice here. All right. Says that. Oshi, who's here now. How many hours did you sleep, Oshi?
No.
You didn't sleep. What time did you come home?
Jet lag. I got home at like 12, 11:30.
No, you didn't. You were on my flight.
Yeah.
And we landed at a quarter to. What time did you get home?
There's no practice.
Oh, yeah. You didn't get home at 12. Unless the plane landed in Ramat Beit Shemesh and you get off the plane. Okay. You went home with your family?
Yes.
And you had suitcase? You were with me looking for suitcases. You actually took one of my suitcases off. What time did the plane land, Oshi?
11:30.
It landed at 11:30 and you're home by 12. Okay, fine, right there. But Oshi, as I'm finishing, time out. As I'm finishing the shear, he shows up. He came from Los Angeles, and all of a sudden he comes with his bag. He's like, oh, there's a shear. I'm like by myself. Like, who sent him here? He's here in the morning. He's here in the evening, and here he is in Germany. I don't know. Oshi. Givaldi, with his brother, this Koliko. No, it's amazing that he's here. He didn't sleep the whole night, and he's here. It's crazy. Okay, so we have more situations where you get malchus. So when you have fruit, you have to bring the fruit new fruit. You bring to the Beis Hamikdash. Here we go. Shmak. This used to be like whatever. It's crazy stuff. This is you have new fruit. You have to give it to the kohen, bring it to the Yerushalayim, you bring it to the Mizbeach. And you have to say psukim. What if you didn't say the psukim? You get malchus if you eat it before the psukim. Kachi kadashim chutz laklaim. There are two categories. There's kachi kachim and kachim kalam when it comes to a carbon. The really severe one, like the chatas, the asham, is kachi kachim. You could only a kohen could eat it, and only in the azara and the Beis Hamikdash. If you eat the kachi kachim, the chatas, the part of the chatas that you're allowed to eat, if you eat it outside of the azara, you get malchus if you're a kohen. Kachim kalam, the lighter ones, like a carbon pesach, a toida, shlamim, those meiser sheni and meiser sheni fruit chutz l'chayma. If you eat it outside of the wall of Arizona, we don't really need to see this, but why not? We have somebody just sent me an email that the Beis Hamikdash is upside down. So let's see if we have it here. No, it's not here. Okay. If you break a bone on Pesach Atar, it means a regular carbon Pesach. There's no issues with it. You're not allowed to break a bone. But that's a mefurish pasuk. If you break the bone, you're chayav malchus. The Yoni Klestzick says that the shoyve etzem is like a lot of people. We have the pasuk b'bayis echad yachal in one household. So we know Hasidim especially. They're very very makpid on minhagim and so the Yoni Klestzick says b'bayis echad yachal. You have one house that comes from generation to generation. But you have to make sure that minhag doesn't contradict the halacha, because once it contradicts the halacha, that's essentially sishbur by his thing. You get 40. If you leave over from the carbon pesach, leaving over from the carbon pesach, even though the Torah says that you're not allowed to leave over, you don't get malchus. Does anybody remember why you don't get malchus if you leave over? No, what? Lav shein b'maisa. What else? Lav shein say what else? What did you say? Hasra Safek. Givaldik. So you have lav and nitik say. There's a tikkun. There's a remedy. You have a lav shein b'maisa because he didn't eat it. He did not eat it. He left it. And also you have asra safek. Givaldik. V'hashoiver batomei, and breaking a bone of a tomei carbon pesach. In those cases you don't get malchus. If you do the reverse, instead of you do something like this. First of all, we had the whole sugya. We'll see it again for those of you, because some of you maybe didn't see the shir. First it says in red, loy sikach, it's a lav. Don't take ha'im alabanim. Then it says shaleach tishalach esoim. You shall shoo away the mother. Like this is no good when you grab the mother. We have a machlokes. Here it is. We had this whole sugya. Obviously, you didn't see the shir. This is the worst case scenario. This video, you can't send her away. She's already dead. That's called bittul. We had a whole sugya of bittul. Once you mikayim and bittul, very good, Mendy. You're holding. You learned the Yehudit the whole time. The test. It's crazy. There's if you don't know, and I'll say it again, we're very, very proud of our koilel, including our Rosh Koilel, Reb Yedidya Kramer, and the Belzer, and Eliakim, and all the other guys that are doing the test, Eliyahu. Almost 2,000 daf of Gemara this Sunday. 2,000 daf. It's something like, I don't even want to say halavai by me, because it's like you're saying, I'm going to run around in the moon. It's like 2,000 daf. I'm serious. I cannot take a 30 daf test. I can't take a 10 daf test right now. 2,000 daf. They're holding. Then they get high scores. They get above 90s in these tests. Rebuta says there's no remedy. You know why? Because when we look at these psukim, Rebuta says shaleach to shalach has nothing to do with loisika. It's not like by gneva. You don't steal. Oh, if you stole, return. No, shaleach to shalach is before you're over. Loisika, shalech, you should chew away, and then loisika. Not loisika. He says it's out of order. Chacham say no, there's a remedy. You could, after you make a mistake and you grab the mother, you forgot the halachas of shluach kain. Hakan kain I got an email. Why do you say kan, kain? Okay, whatever. That's how they said it in yeshiva. Huh? You also say kan? And he says, oh, thank you very much for letting me correct it. Okay, whatever. No, it's gewaldig. No, you don't understand. Sitting in the airport by myself, not a single person there, right? Even some. No, he came all the way at the end. Although in the video we don't show it like that, but nobody's there to say bad joke, good vart, not good vart. I say vart. Maybe you hated it, maybe not. I have no idea. It's feedback. No, if he's going.
It's a good voice, a bad joke.
Huh?
You can assume it's a good voice, a bad joke.
Bad joke. That's what I'll assume. Okay, I know what's gonna. Zaklau. Anytime there's a fix to a lav, you're not chayav. The good news is, Rabbi said, don't get nervous. We have a very, very seriously, very easy sugi. It's going to fly to a point I don't even want to explain half of it because it's just repetitive. And we have a short Amud Beis, a continuation. This is our Mishnah that says the Bikurim, if you don't read the Psukim, it's ma'akiv and you get malchus for that and you eat it, you're over. That's Rabbi Akiva. You're not allowed to eat the bikurim. He eats. It's his bikurim. The person that's supposed to eat the bikurim, he ate it without the psukim, the kohen. But it is a good hara. Rebbe Akiva stimta. That's Rebbe Akiva. The stam Rebbe Akiva. The Mishnah goes according to him. So we have let's see the. I didn't do this so well yesterday. Here. This is when you take the bikurim, you do a tnufa. The Gemara is going to say together with the kohen. We're not going to learn today, tomorrow, and then we have hanacha. What's hanacha? Put it down. Okay, put it down. By the mizbeach. That's what's ma'akev Rabbi is saying, not the kriya. Why? So because if you look over here, the psukim say v'inichai twice, v'inichai v'inachtoi. And we'll see, Be'ezer Hashem, when we get to Zvachim, Menachas, and Kachim, there's a big Yisoid, a klal in the Masechtas over there when it comes to Kachim. Anytime the Torah repeats itself twice, it's a ma'akiv. If the Torah says once, not. The Kriya, saying the Psukim, the Torah doesn't repeat it. It's not twice. V'nachta is more of a ma'akiv. Okay. By the way, Shalom Aleichem, what's your name? Nissim? Weber. Shalom Aleichem, from Vanen? Oh, Shalom Aleichem. You look familiar. I saw you before one time. Okay? Ooh. I know, Stefansky he's out there. He's by all the things. Shalom Aleichem, cousin. So what says the Gemara? V'leima zudiv Reb Shimon. Oh, Bikur ma'anoch ma'kev is bad. Kriya ei ma'kev is bad. The Kriya is not. Says Gemara, V'leima zudiv Reb Shimon stimta. In a second, we're going to see that's Reb Shimon that says this. Why do you have to say that's Reb Akiva, the anonymous Reb Akiva? It's Reb Shimon the anonymous. Hakom Ashmallah, the Reb Akiva, Reb Shimon severely. That the Reb Shimon says that we know, but even Reb Akiva holds like that. Okay, my Reb Shimon. Here we go. So first of all, you also put it in a little gaiva, but I'm going to show it because it's kishmak for the shir. This is on the plane. I sent this. If you look over here, I sent this to Yoshi just to show you. This is what I sent to Yoshi. This is on a boarding pass. Be'emet, I don't have the boarding pass with me. I showed it in the Hebrew one. There's a mistake here. Bechar, I erased it. I sent him the new one. In the bottom, maybe I even say it. This chart I sent you is very important. Start with number 1, then click fine. Oh, you can see the boarding pass over here. Here it is. See, that's there's a little red circle there. You can see the boarding pass. Fine.
How did you get someone from outside the plane to take the picture?
Outside the plane. I didn't even know. It wasn't even posed. Yeah. Okay. What do we have here? Great. Oh, this is the whole sugya Rabbi say in 10 seconds. You ready? Here's the whole sugya. Reb Shimon, Rava was so impressed with this Reb Shimon Bar Yochai that Rava said that basically we have a song because of what Rava said. Ashrei Yeletecha. This is amazing. This is goinus what he did. He starts off with Meiser. Meiser, we know that if you eat Meiser outside of Yerushalayim, you get Malchus. That we know. That's an established rule that's already in the Torah. Then he goes, says Reb Shimon, if so, once you take that idea, you take Bikurim. Bikurim is much more chamer than Meiser. So let's take the first rule of Meiser, that if you eat outside of the wall, you get Malkus. So to Bikurim, if you eat outside of the wall, you get Malkus. But let's add something. We'll add one thing. What does Bikurim bring to the table? That if you eat it before, if the Kohen eats it before, saying the Psukim, Malkus. Once we know that, he says, okay, now let's go to Toida. And we're going to take everything before and add that if you eat before Zrika, before the blood thrown on the Mizbech, you get Malkus. Then let's take Bechar. And Bechar, that if he's outside, you take all the stuff before. We're not going to leave anything before. Each thing builds on the next, and Bechar is more chamer than Toida. Why? We're going to see in the Gemara. And then Chatas, of course, is more chamer than a Bechar. Chatas is kachim. And if you eat it outside of the Zari, you get Malkus. And if the Zari eats it, Malkus. And then, you take everything before. It's all based on Kavachoimers. And Oila, finally, Oila is more chamer than Chatas, and therefore, anybody who eats Oila, even inside the Beis Hamikdash, Malkus, that's the whole sugya. It's very repetitive, very easy.
I thought there's only 3 of them.
No, you're right. Okay, so there's not. But we'll see in the Gemara later why it's genius. My Reb Shimon, the Sanyo Usrumas Yotcha Elu Bikurim. This Bikurim, the Imri says, for you, Remendi Imri he says, Trumas Yotcha is the concept of raising your hands like a Baruch, giving up, like giving into Hashem. That's what he says. Trumas, you bring your fruit, you think you're so cool, you planted so well, and you made sure everything goes well. It's not you, it's the Refuah Shelamah giving up to the Refuah. He brings like Moshe Rabbeinu, raising his hands during war. Okay. Trumas Yotcha Elu Bikurim. Or Rav Shimon, Ma Bazel, they know what does it come to teach us? If to tell us Bikurim you can't eat outside of Yerushalayim, Kavachomer Ma'aseh Kal. Bikurim, as the Gemara is going to explain later, is more chamer than Meiser. And Ma'aseh Kal like that we already know that Meiser means Meiser Sheni. Yeah, the whole sugya Meiser means Meiser Sheni. If you eat your own fruit, your Yisrael, you eat it outside of Yerushalayim, you get Malkus. Bikurim like Kolshke. So I don't need a pasuk for that. So what? Yes. If I bring Bikurim, if I eat the Bikurim without saying the pasuk, then I get Malkus. Next. So that's this, number 2. Once I know that, so we go to number 3, which is Toida. Then what does it come to teach us? It teaches that you eat it outside of Chayma. I don't need that. I learned from number 1. Before Zrika, if you want to see the new Zrika, there's a new Zrika here. Hold on, I got to show it to you. Something new and improved. Oh, it's nice. New Zrika. Gishmak. So, we're holding by Toida. Very good. Oh, the Gemara is going to talk about that. It's more a Hazar Menadin. Somebody holds it, you could. The problem is Hazar Menadin. Is next. Number 4 is a Bechar. Then what does it come to teach us? What does it add? Even a Yisrael who eats from the Bechar, if not even a Yisrael who eats from a Bechar after Zrika, you get Malkus. Right? We don't have to explain this, right? For number 1. Number 3. If you eat it out, even after Zrika, if you do everything outside of the Azara, Shu Loika. Or Shimon ma bazel them im lach khuz khav khav mais im lebnei zrika khav khav mitam shlam im lach zrika khav khav bkhar im khuz khav 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 mkhad. I can learn from all the things before it. Makkos velo Daf Yomi Beis eloichem in oil lach zrika. If you eat from the oil of zrika afilu b'fnim shehu loika. Says Gemara Marava the lido ime Reb Shimon Tailid. Anybody who gives birth should give birth to a kid like Reb Shimon Bayachai. I'm so impressed with what he did. And if not, you shouldn't even give birth. Okay, so they explain that it's not really like that. It just means halavai, the kid should be as chashuv as Reb Shimon Bayachai. I saw a Gevaldika Maisa that Reb Baruch Hyman said that there's a person by the name of Zalman Aran. He was the Sarah Chinuch in Eretz Yisrael, and he wasn't religious, but his wife used to light candles. And when she lit candles, she always davened that her kid should be as chashiv as Ben Gurion. And then when Ben Gurion, she said, that's what she knew. Ben Gurion met the Chazon Ish, he came back, he said, the exact lashon, he met a human being that's like a malach, something like that. So she said, if Ben Gurion says that about him, now I want my kids to be like the Chazon Ish. So she started davening that her kids should be like Chazon Ish, like the Chazon Ish, and says Baruch Haiman, that's why I'm here today as a Rav, that is, he did tshuva, and he says that it's because of his grandmother davening by the candles that her kids should be like the Chazon Ish. She didn't know what that meant exactly. They weren't very religious. Says the Gemara, sponsors, turning to the Daf, Adar Global, one-stop shop for all your financial needs. Innovations LLC, the third time today, in honor of our sons Kalmo 12 and Yisroel 9, for learning Sanhedrin and Makkos with the Rebelli, in honor of Adar Global, Innovations, true role models of how to support Daf and learning. You know what? It reminds me of a story. It's very gaivadik, but I got to say it once in a while. I'm working on. That novel was too stark through America, so I got to say this Maisa. Most of you know the story, but the new guys from Makkos don't know the story. A couple years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, Yisroel Goldstein called up he said right before Lag Ba'omer, he says, every time you say Reb Shimon Bar Yochai on the Daf of Lag Ba'omer, I'm donating money, l'schos, that my daughter should have Zar Shekayama. So it's on video. I said every time, Reb Shimon, was 5 Reb Shimons on the Daf of Lag Ba'omer. Every time Reb Shimon stopped, I pushed a button, there was Bar Yochai, I said, l'schos, and then on the 5th one, I had Mamish Shtar Kavan, and I said, wouldn't it be interesting if his daughters gave birth 9 months later? So 9 months went by and nothing happened. The day before Lag Ba'omer, the following year, he called up that his daughter had a baby boy that day, but the other daughter had a baby boy 9 months after Lag Ba'omer. But he didn't want to tell me because he didn't want to ruin it for the other one. Oh, my.
I get to Birevach. Last year Pesach, I thought of an idea that I'm going to sponsor every Reb Shimon of the Daf of Lag Ba'omer. And I think there were 5 or 6 Reb Shimons over there. And Reb Eli announced to be each one in the Zchiz for Reb Shimon that my daughter should be Zoche B'Zeh Shekayuma. B'Siyata Dishmaya, my first daughter had exactly 9 months later, had a baby boy. And my second daughter, this past Friday, 3 days shy of Lag Ba'omer, had a baby boy. I wish to help him in the Schiz von Abutzes a Torah, supporting MDY. You see, it really works. I wish help him. We should make many more simchas, all of us together. Gesundheit. Have a good day.
Hey, listen! Sometimes you get lucky. That's the only time in all the years.
Which one did they name Elliot?
They didn't name Elliot. They didn't name Shimon. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name over there in the back? You guys walked in the middle. No, I didn't see you in the beginning. What's your name? It's anonymous. Yeah. Okay. Shalom Aleichem, anonymous. From where? Just tell us from where. Bet Shemesh. Okay, cool. Very nice.
Not my first time.
What?
Not my first time.
No? Wow. Okay. I'm sorry. Jet lag. Is it your son? That's your son?
His first time.
His first time. You see, I was talking to him. I wasn't talking to you. Says Rava, I'm so impressed with this whole thing that Reb Shimon did over here that even though I could slug the whole thing up, I love it. Why? How could I slug it up? My chumra de bikurim and the whole thing started that 2 is certainly like 1. Bikurim is certainly like the meiser because bikurim is much stronger than meiser. Why? Shekain asur l'zarim. Bikurim a Yisrael can't eat, but meiser sheni a Yisrael does eat his own meiser sheni. Adarabah. Meiser chomer shekain also loiden. I have something that's chomer in meiser. A person who had one of his relatives died that day, he can't eat meiser sheni, but bikurim I guess yeah. So anyways, the whole thing falls off. If I don't have that kavachomer, I can't even start the whole chart. And why did you say that taida number 3 is more chomer? Certainly, if number 1 and 2 is certainly 3. Because taida, you have to put the imurim on the mizbeach. Adarabba, meiser chomer, shekentunim kesef tzura. It says in the pasuk here. But tzarta kesef yodchad has to be coined, has to be minted. My chumra the b'char b'toyda u'shlamim. I go back over here. Each thing I'm gonna rip it apart. Whatever Shimon said, I'm gonna rip apart. You know why b'char is so chamer? Number 4 is more chamer than toyda because it's born kaddish. It's mamish kaddish merechem. When they use it, they use certain people that have grandfathers and that are children of rebbes. Kaddish merechem. Adarabah toyda u'shlamim chamurim. Sheken tu'unim smicha. What are you talking about? Toyda shlamim. A b'char you don't do smicha, but a toyda shlamim you have to do smicha. What's smicha like this? You lean your whole body weight on the animal. We could do better than this. This is from Kol Shon. It was beautiful back in the day. Now we can do better. Unisachim. We do something like this. This is also from Kol Shon. Pouring. This is on top of the mizbeach. There's 2 holes. You take the wine and you pour it into the hole. You do this. Imagine that this bowl is full of animal parts, and you go like this. You have to do like a whatever. You lift it. You do like the whole waving. Not having it was what? This week's parsha. Okay. Shkatz and Ramosin this week's parsha. Not that. It's not like this, but the nuva means to lift it up. Who? The which one? Avi with the sheep, or me giving the picture of me giving. You did your yeah. This is no. This is all prepared on the plane, by the way. Shikein kachi kachim adraba b'char chamer shikein kedushas zimir my chomer. Sorry. And why do we say that the chatos number 5 is more chomer than b'char? Shikein kachi kachim. It's the highest level of carbon. Even though it's a lower level, it has a certain something that the chat is. It's born kaddish. Why do you say number 6 that's more chamer than 5? She can call it because you have to burn it completely. And something special that it gives a kapara to a person that let's say he does an aveir b'shoigig, he's mechal Shabbos b'shoigig, but oila is usually in a dava. And then the Gemara says v'kulu chamir ma'oila. Everything is more chamer than oila. The isbu shtei achilos. The mizbech eats it and the person eats it. So all the Rishonim ask. We always say that the oila is the most chamer because it's kolel Hashem, and all of a sudden now you're using that as a chumrah that the mizbeach eats it, that a human eats it. Fakert. When the human doesn't eat it, that's more chumrah. Elamai deleted the email of Kirib. So why was Rava so impressed? Elamai desvirle lididei misarsle lekraved darishle. If you look in the Torah, the order is ma'asasheni b'char chatos oila toida bikurim. Not this order. So Reb Shimon took the whole order of the Torah and rearranged it to make it work for himself. That's gainas. Let's just do 2 more lines. As the Gemara of the Chimazir min adin. Now we know in order to give a punishment, you have to give a hazar. The Torah has to give a hazar, not a hasra. Hazar, the Torah has to warn. But you can't do the warning based on logic. It can't be from a kavachomer. Even if you could, the famous. How do you know ein oinch min adin? Because it says in the Torah that a half sister from a father's side, a half sister from a mother's side, is also. But it doesn't say anywhere in the Torah that a full sister from both a mother and a father. It's in logic, of course. No, ein oinch min adin. But even if you hold oinch min adin, there's a mandama that says that a mazir adin. Nevertheless, you can't be mazir adin. Says Gemara, all this, this whole chart of Reb Shimon wasn't to say that you get malchus on a bechar on a Yisrael zar that eats, or that this eating out of. All this is to say that there's an Isser, not Malchus. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day. It's great to be back. Thank you for coming.